is old? Is age chronological or is it functional? Should age be measured by the number of years since the individual's birth, or should it be measured by how well an individual is functioning? Should age be measured by how well an individual can complete activities of daily living, ADLs, such as bathing, dressing, walking, toileting, and IADLs, instruments of activities in daily living? Can the person still manage their finances? Can they still cook and clean for themselves? Can they go shopping? How active are they? Do they still have a social life? Do they have capacity to make informed decisions? As we age, we experience many physical and cognitive changes. Physical changes may include declines in bone and muscle mass, increased incidence of chronic diseases such as heart disease, stroke, osteoporosis, arthritis, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. We may experience increased instances of dental problems, increased instances of vision and hearing problems, declines in central nervous system functioning, which affects reaction time and coordination. Some of us may develop age spots, lose hair, get gray hair, and wrinkles. Cognitive problems include dementia and declines in memory and how fast we can remember things and recall. One elderly person described growing old as a daily display of inner strength. There are three geriatric age groups: the young old, which consists of individuals from 65 years of age to 74 years of age; the middle old, which consists of individuals from 75 years of age to 84 years of age; and the oldest old, which consists of individuals 85 years of age and above. The United States Census estimates that by 2020, the oldest old population will be at 7 million, and by 2040, this number will have doubled to 14 million, as the baby boomers reach the oldest age.
NPR's Ina Jaffe covers aging, and on a recent program, we discussed a problem that she's encountered on her beat: what to call the people she covers. Now, this led to us asking you all for some terms. We polled our listeners, but listen back to what she told us in that first conversation.
Maybe once upon a time, elderly referred to a particular stage in life, but now people think of it as it means you're ailing and you're frail.
Okay, so what do you call older people?
Older people or older adults. If it's relevant, sometimes I say older Americans. Sometimes I use the term senior, though I've met some older people who don't like that either.
So that was from our last conversation, and at the time we asked you to weigh in and tell us the terms for aging that you love and that you hate. Ina joins me now again to talk about the results of that poll. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's start with the positive. What terms did listeners say they actually like?
Well, more than 2,700 people responded, and the winner and still champion was older adult. Though you can't say there was any real enthusiasm for it among our poll takers, just 43% of them said they liked it.
So it was an acceptable term, but was older adult the only term that people would sort of settle for?
Well, almost a third of the respondents liked elder. We received a lot of comments online from people who felt that the term was the most respectful, and about a third thought senior was fine, though if you put the word citizen after it, the favorable rating dropped to less than 12%.
So senior citizen, forget that. Let's not mention it. Which term had the dubious distinction of being the most despised?
Well, first I should say that the category of dislikes had the most enthusiasm. They were about 3.5 times more votes cast for terms that people didn't like than for terms that they liked. And I can sum up the overall response by saying that they disliked pretty much everything.
I mean, the choices being?
Well, there were some terms you might expect to get a negative response, like geezer, old-timer, the aforementioned elderly. But even expressions often used in a positive context, like positive aging or successful aging, a majority gave them thumbs down. A couple of other common terms, golden years and geriatric, the vast majority disapproved.
It sounds then like we're back to older adult or senior, and there don't seem to be a lot of options if you're talking about people in the age group of older people.
Well, you're right, Renee. I mean, we've discarded so many terms for aging people. There's not much of a vocabulary that reflects the way many older adults live now. I mean, who thinks of Bruce Springsteen and Mick Jagger as enjoying their golden years? I mean, I realize that most older people aren't rock stars, but still they're living longer and staying healthier longer and working longer. In fact, in another poll earlier this month, a more scientific poll than ours, that poll found that nearly 3/4 of baby boomers plan to continue working during their so-called retirement years, which may mean that the word retirement is also on its way out. The point is, we're getting rid of a lot of these traditional terms for aging, but we haven't come up with anything to replace them that reflects what life is like now.
Well, Ina, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And that's NPR's Ina Jaffe, whose beat is aging.
When an individual reaches the oldest old, they come to Erickson's last stage of psychosocial development, integrity versus despair. If the individual reflects upon their life and look back on the things that they have done without regret, and they are able to accept their mortality, and they are satisfied with the life that they have lived, then they have reached the stage of integrity. If that individual is not satisfied with the life that they have lived, and they have many regrets over the things that they have done and the choices that they have made, then they are in despair and are unable to embrace their mortality, as they wish that they had more time and are not ready and accepting of death. Reasons for grief and despair. Center for Disease Control of the National Council on Aging report that approximately 91% of older adults have at least one chronic condition. 73% have a substitute. Chronic conditions include, but are not limited to, diabetes, arthritis, hypertension, renal failure, lung disease, cancer, and heart conditions. These conditions seriously compromise the quality of life for older adults. Loss of independence is also a reason for despondence. Older adults were not able to do the things that they once were able to do with ease. They experience a loss of independence. Independence may be limited due to being confined to a wheelchair, impaired hearing or vision, no longer being able to drive. These adults may become dependent upon other people to do things. Physical appearance may also be a reason for despair. Older adults who experience physical changes such as wrinkled and sagging skin, age spots, graying hair, loss of teeth, and weight gain may experience some despair over the way that they walk. Change in relationship roles may also be a reason for despair. Where we're seeing the parent relying more upon the child to do things for them. The parent having to rely on the child to pay the bills and manage the finances. The parent is relying on the child to get a doctor's appointment, be compliant with situation, parent is reliant on the child for housing and to make sure that they are treated fairly in their long-term care situation. Finances are also a reason for despair in older adults. They have to worry about their fixed income and how long they'll be able to live on that fixed income. They'll be able to afford the things that they need. If they require care, they'll be able to pay for that. If they require long-term care facilities, if they'll be able to afford that type of living situation. And outliving one's children, spouse, friends, and support systems is a major cause of grief in older adults. An excellent example of how the oldest old may see themselves in society. Oldest old may see themselves as being invisible now, as they are no longer able to contribute as they once were. Their place in society is undefined, and they are now seen as being takers, taking from Medicare, Social Security, pensions, and other such entitlement programs. Studies have found that older adults who experience complicated grief have benefited from group grief counseling. The opportunity to discuss your experiences and the feelings that you feel in a group setting with other individuals who are experiencing similar situations have produced positive results.
The baby boomers are getting older. In her new book, The Age of Dignity, Ai-jen Poo says America better get ready for the elder boom.
The baby boom generation is reaching retirement age at a rate of 10,000 people per day. This year, 4 million people will turn 65 in America, and what that means is that by 2050, 27 million Americans will need some form of long-term care or assistance, and that's the backdrop for this book.
And you're right that people can end up in end-of-life poverty as a result.
Absolutely. The average nursing home stay for a private room is about $87,000 per year, and I've just heard all of these stories about people who've had to impoverish themselves to get the support that they need, or end up impoverished because they can't afford the care that they need. And there's an emotional cost, there's an unbelievable financial cost, and it doesn't have to be that way.
And you know that there's a convergence of needs there. That there's a need for jobs, and there's a need for caregivers given this growing aging population. But how do we get there, though? How does that get paid for?
Well, home care is already the fastest growing occupation in the country. We are already investing, but we are investing in a very haphazard way. The average wages of a home care worker are less than $9 per hour. So the workers that we're counting on to take care of our families cannot take care of their own on the poverty wages that they're earning.
Could you tell us about maybe one of the caregivers that you spent time with?
Her name's Erlinda, and she's